I'd like to welcome everyone to tonight's AMSSM SFMC webinar, IMG Careers in Sports Medicine. My name is Maria Bianchi. It's a pleasure to serve as the moderator for tonight's webinar. I am also serving as the SMRC or Sports Medicine Resident Council President, and I'm also beginning a one-year term as an SMFC or Sports Medicine Fellowship Council officer, serving as the fellow liaison to the Practice and Policy Committee. I am originally from Venezuela. I am an IMG. I completed my medical training there and just graduated a few days ago from residency at University of Iowa. And I just moved to New York City over the last week to begin my fellowship with Zucker Northwell at Hofstra University. Fun fact about me is my moving container hasn't arrived yet. It's been delayed for a week, so I still don't have my things. Tonight, the SMFC is excited to host AMSSM's first webinar dedicated to journeys and careers, featuring 6 IMGs in sports medicine. Our speaker panel represents 4 of the primary specialties. We have emergency medicine, family medicine, internal medicine, and PM&R. And each panelist will share their unique perspectives from recent fellowship graduates to established leaders in the field. It's truly an honor to have the following AMSSM members serving as panelists. We have Dr. Wikien Hung Pinto, Dr. Julia Iafrate, Dr. Eliza Pierko, Dr. Daniel Palasz, Dr. Luis Rodriguez, and Dr. Michael Swartzon. This group is very special to me because when I first started my journey pursuing sports medicine, most of them at some point gave me advice. I've gotten to work with a majority. Some of them play a key role in me getting to fellowship. So I'm very grateful to them, and I'm very excited that you will all learn from their experience. Now, I would like to ask the panelists to please introduce yourselves, state your name, country of origin, your primary residency specialty, the name of your sports medicine fellowship program, and which year you completed it, your current practice, including your city and state, and then a unique aspect of your sports medicine career or fun fact about yourself you'd like to share.
Thank you, Dr. Bianchi. Yeah, as you said, Wikien Hung Pinto. I'm originally also from Venezuela. I did internal medicine residency. I just completed my primary care sports medicine fellowship at Vanderbilt University Medical Center, where I will stay as faculty. And one fun fact is, as a testament that it works, one of my closest and main mentors is also in this call. So that's what I had to say.
Okay. My name is Julia Iafrate. I am Canadian, Italian-Canadian, but I was born in Canada. I did my medical school here in the US. However, I am obviously an IMG coming into the US, so I have a slightly different path than probably some of the other physicians on here. I did PM&R as my primary specialty at Mayo Clinic, and then did my primary care sports medicine fellowship at the University of Iowa. And I actually met Maria during that time. And then currently I am in New York City working at NYU Langone Health in the Department of Orthopedic Surgery. And fun fact, or a unique fact about me, I am one of the US ski team physicians. I'm actually the first non-American US ski team physician. They had to make a special allowance for me because you're supposed to be a US citizen, and I'm not still. I'm a green card holder. So I guess that's my fun fact.
Hi, everyone. I'm Eliza Pierko. I was born and raised in Poland, where I attended my medical school at the University of Białystok before moving to Chicago to pursue my career abroad. I completed my internal medicine residency here and then moved on to sports medicine fellowship at Loyola McNeil Hospital, which I graduated from in 2014. I currently practice at western suburbs of Chicago with Loyola. My current practice is, I feel like it's a perfect mix of academics and community. I just recently stepped down from associate PD for the fellowship, but continue as a core faculty for both fellowship and 3 primary care specialties. So I work closely with fellows and residents. And I'm very grateful to be able to serve underserved, so primarily Hispanics and Polish community at one of my office locations. A fun fact about me, I once combined sports and medicine by stopping at mile 21 at the Berlin Marathon to successfully CPR a fellow runner, and later continued to finish 5 miles to get a 2-minute PR. And that story from 2024 made like major media outlets right around the Chicago Marathon. So,
Dr. Rodriguez, you're next.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if it was Dr. Swartzon or myself. Hi, everyone. Good evening. I'm Luis Rodriguez. I'm originally from Venezuela. It looks like we have a Venezuela-heavy panel and and team here from Universidad Central de Venezuela. I finished med school longer ago than I care to admit in 2003. Moved to the US in 2006 to do residency in internal medicine at the Cleveland Clinic, and then on to SUNY Upstate in Binghamton for fellowship. I currently work in Miami at Baptist Health South Florida. Have also worked with the US Ski team. I'm currently team physician for Inter Miami and the Florida Panthers, and I'm serving also as venue medical officer for FIFA here in Miami during the World Cup. Fun fact, so many of them. I never matched to any position. That's one fun fact about me that I'm actually really proud of. I didn't match to residency, I didn't match to fellowship, but through perseverance, I was able to find a position in the scramble for both residency and fellowship. I do think I've been very lucky, but I also think that luck is where opportunity and preparation meet. And I think that's definitely been part of my journey. And many of you guys here on this call tonight have also been part of that journey. And so I'm glad to be here and happy to help orient our future generation of international medical grads. And I also sing in a band. That's about it.
Is it my turn now? Am I cutting the line?
I think we skipped Dr. Palasz. I think we skipped you. So if you want to go ahead, and then Dr. Swartzon.
Sounds good. Then I'll go ahead. Well, nice to meet you, everyone. I'm Daniel Palasz. I was born in Canada, but grew up most of my life and lived there in Peru since I was 5 years old until just finishing med school. My mom is Peruvian, dad is American, so I grew up with 3 passports. That was definitely a plus. Definitely important as well, in the plan and doing all this part of the process. Nevertheless, finished my university there in Universidad Peruana Cayetano Heredia in Lima, Peru. Met some doctors from Medical College of Georgia who were teaching ultrasound internationally. I was their social reference in Lima, enjoying good food and good beverage. And then luckily met them and couples matched with my wife there. Did my ER. I did an emergency medicine residency in Augusta, Georgia, there in Medical College of Georgia, followed by a advanced ultrasound fellowship with them, mostly for international purposes, to teach abroad and have that educational purpose. And then what I wanted to do was sports medicine. I completed that at Duke University, where I am also working right now. I do 75% ER, 25% sports medicine. I'm one of the assistant program directors, helping mostly with the diagnostic MSK process and working mostly with the men's soccer team. It's one of the team docs here. And one of the facts about me is one of the best advice I got as a med student early on as a second year was, Doc, what should I do now in summer vacation? Our summer, Southern Hemisphere is winter season up here, was do anything not related to medicine, because there will be a time where you won't be able to choose. Now is that time to choose. So all my friends were scrambling for research things. So I heard that advice, took it dearly. My brother lived in Aspen, so I became a ski instructor in Aspen for 4 years, and almost my entire summer vacations. I just traveled, made some money, got a little fare as one of my clients, and then came back, enjoyed. So it was probably one of the best advice, which also came as good stories during interviews as well. Just what separates you from just the regular things. That's pretty much me.
Hi, Michael Swartzon. My family is from Israel. I went to medical school in Israel. I did my family medicine residency at the University of Kansas. I did my fellowship at University of New Mexico. I finished in 2013. I came down to Baptist Health, South Florida. I also opened a sports medicine fellowship along with Luis Rodriguez about 9 years ago. And so that's fun because I think almost every applicant, every fellow we've had has been foreign medical grad. It's very common down here. I would say a unique fact, I'm the team physician for the Miami Dolphins, and Luis and I also do the Florida Panthers. And my current fun fact is I am now a columnist for the Miami Herald for a biweekly article called the Jock Doc. So that's my new thing.
That's pretty exciting. Okay, so let's get started. During the webinar, we will have a Q&A segment for members attending tonight's webinar to enter their questions in the chat and for panelists to share their responses. So please, if you have any questions, drop them in the chat. I want to begin by asking our speaker panelists some questions. We're going to start with the first one. This one is about your journey. What first sparked your interest in sports medicine, and at what point in your training did you realize it was the career you wanted to pursue?
Well, as most, a lot of people that go into sports medicine fellowship, sports was part of our life already. So obviously, coming from Latin America, it's either soccer or baseball. So I was soccer. So I played soccer all my life, to the point that during med school, I was a teaching assistant for the parasitology department, and I would spend maybe an average 1 month during summer deep in the Amazon. Did it for 3 years with the department. And I even would go there, and then I had to learn the language every time I went to work with these indigenous populations. And one way we bonded was that in one of those communities, there was a priest from Brazil that taught them how to play soccer. And I wouldn't be able to speak with them otherwise, but we would play together after obviously doing all the consults and stuff. So when I came to the US, as I did internal medicine, obviously there are a lot of variety of fellowship. And then at some point, I felt like I had to stop and think, what do I really want to do for the rest of my life? And I have a lot of interest as internist, but I didn't have the answer right there at that moment. What I knew is that I would every week organize the soccer pickup for my hospital, and I had the chair of the pulmonology department play with the emergency residents and internal medicine residents, and we would do that every week. And then after I finished my residency, I had the idea that this is something that I'm passionate about, and then how can I combine it? And I started working for it.
Okay. So I think soccer is going to be a very common theme here. I have a feeling. So I was a college athlete myself, so I skied competitively, obviously, in Canada. I also played soccer and had 3 knee surgeries in 4 years of undergrad. And so very quickly, my soccer career was over. And most of my skiing career, except for, I could still ski pretty quick, but I couldn't, race anymore. And so I had the inkling of maybe I wanted to be initially actually an athletic trainer. And then I realized very quickly that I'm way too bossy and would do very poorly taking other people's directions. So I was like, I need to be the boss of whatever the hell is happening in my life. So I decided, I think I wanted to go to medical school. I actually moved to Kenya, lived in a mud hut in Kenya for 6 months, started a mobile medical clinic out there. That did not necessarily lead me into sports medicine, but definitely got me interested in medicine. I met an internal medicine doctor actually from Indianapolis. What is that place? Yes, Indianapolis. From there, I'm still bad at American geography. But from Indy, and we started this mobile medical clinic, and then I came back for interviews. And Early on in medical school, so I decided to move to the US for medical school. I decided I wanted to go DO because I knew I wanted to do a lot of hands-on. My athletic trainer in Canada, actually, while I was like rehabbing my knee after all those surgeries, was like, I think you should be a DO. I think you like it. Just I really had a lot of like, I loved being very like physical and manual, and I liked the idea of kinesiology and like human movement. So it made sense for me. So I moved to the US, pursued a DO medical degree, and it just felt like a better fit personally. And then as I was going through med school, very quickly I realized I hate nephrology. I hate basically everything else except sports medicine. So it was a very easy decision. PM&R was an easy decision for me too. I love orthopedics, but I get super hangry in the OR. So all of my procedures need to be like less than an hour and then I'm good. So I love the ER. Daniel, I think that America uses the ER like urgent care, and it made me angry. So PM&R was kind of a cool way for me to get some ortho, get some ER, get a lot of procedures, and become a musculoskeletal specialist, which I felt like made the most sense for like on the field coverage. So that's kind of how my like weird immigration world got me into sports medicine.
All right, I guess it's my turn. So I did not know about sports medicine subspecialty until I honestly moved to US. So while I was doing my med school, which I graduated a long time ago, 2006, we did not have sports medicine as a fellowship, as a subspecialty in Poland. The only sports medicine that we had was on the orthopedic side, and that was definitely not something that I wanted to entertain. So I was coming to US, moving, to pursue internal medicine residency because that was my goal initially, to become a hem-onc doctor. So that quickly changed, after moving here. And there was one event that made it happen, and there was a volunteering at the Chicago Marathon. I was a brand new intern, maybe like 3 months in, and decided to volunteer with a friend of mine, with a co-resident. And I just met people, and I was like, oh my gosh, tell me what it is. Like, how do you get here? So that was my eye-opener for a subspecialty of primary care sports medicine. And the person I work with, who was my attending at that time, became first my mentor, then she became my good friend, and the rest is history pretty much. So that's it.
All right, I think it's my turn. I've pretty much been obsessed with sports all my life. Working with the Panthers when we won for the first Stanley Cup a couple of years ago, my first thought was of playing on the Nintendo with my brother when we were little. And the little tiny graphics, with the hockey players, and how unbelievable that all was, like being in Venezuela in our apartment, playing that game, and then to be there on the ice when the cup is lifted by the players. Pretty surreal. But yeah, essentially always had an interest in sports. Also have a background in as a soccer player and baseball player. I really like playing any sport, individual or team sports. And then but in Venezuela, we don't have primary care sports medicine. There doesn't exist as a specialty. Usually team doctors are orthopedic surgeons. And you maybe have a general practitioner who consults, but it's not on the sideline or involved heavily with training rooms. So it really moved to the US with the idea of either orthopedic surgery, but then, that can be a very challenging road as an IMG. I also really loved cardiology. So I went into internal medicine with the idea of becoming a cardiologist. And then in creating relationships with my fellow residents, one of them one day told me, like, listen, what are you doing thinking about cardiology? I have the perfect specialty for you. And this was like first year of residency. I didn't even know PCSM existed. As soon as I started learning about it, I was hooked and decided that's what I wanted to do. And I really feel I was born to do this.
I'll go next then. For me, pretty similar. I grew up playing football, aka soccer, my entire life since I was 4, competitively until I was 16, but then kept playing afterwards as well, and still play right now in a few leagues, which is very satisfying part of the life for sure. Nevertheless, when I finished med school, same as Eliza, I did not have primary care sports medicine. Literally, for me, I remember being a 6-year medical student. We have 7 years in Lima. That was like a dream. It was something that people do it in the States, people do it in Real Madrid, people do it there, but I mean, it's not something I'm going to be able to do because I was just not born in that scenario. So in my mind, being a sports medicine doctor was just not conceivable. And this was back in 2015. And so when I graduated, I always wanted to do PICU because I just met the right mentors who saw something in me. I saw something in them. I was like, oh, it goes great. Our 7th year, we did this intern year where we rotate 10 weeks over every specialty. For my 10 weeks in internal medicine, I had 4 days off. So I remember that this is probably not a life I really want to do. Being inside the hospital as much was one of the things that I did not thrive on, especially on doing other things. I love to lead mission trips. I was a ski instructor in Aspen. So there was a moment I said, I want to be a wilderness medicine doc. Is that possible? Will that pay? Is that a job? I'm not really sure. Again, it's not probably something achievable. Nevertheless, that gave me doubts. And it was when I just graduated and met these docs from MCG that came and helped. And they asked me, oh, you speak English, want to translate for them? And they kind of told me, hey, man, you have an ER personality. And I was like, absolutely no way. Have you seen the ER in Peru? This is survival medicine. I was like, no way, come to the States, look at it. And that's how I got into ER. Mostly it was people I met in my pathway, just taking the opportunities that came in my way, saying yes, meeting people, taking the steps and adventures. I loved it. It worked out. And that's how at the end I did ultrasound mostly for the educational component. Took a course to Peru to my alma mater. That was incredible as well. But then in ER, I knew you can do ultrasound, international medicine, wilderness medicine, toxicology, EMS, sports medicine. And then I heard that, I was like, oh my gosh, like you can do everything from there. So that's how I went to ER. I love the craziness too. I love the uncertainty. Now I'm loving it every time less and less. But that's where the sports medicine gives me, I can practice both now, you know, and then decide which route I want to do afterwards. And I love when it was possible, 100% since year one, I said, let's do it. Went to the AMSSM conference since the early beginning, start meeting people. Again, no one in my residency ever done sports medicine before either. Trying to connect just like you guys are doing right now. Let's listen. What can people offer? What's your pathway? And try and doing the best I could. And then I matched into Duke. And now that I know this is a life I really like, and of course, as every job, it has challenges, but that's one of the way I got to this one.
All right, I'll bat clean up on this. So I always liked sports and grew up playing, which I think is very common amongst our group. No one in my family are physicians. Down in South Florida, when I grew up here, there was no family doctors that I knew of. And medical school in Israel, they didn't really push family medicine at all. And really, I thought my only way to go through sports was through orthopedics, which you guys have heard here already. And it wasn't until I did an elective in 2006, I did an elective at University of Pennsylvania, and I ran into David Webner, who's a very long time AMSSM member, and he pulled me aside and he said, hey, why are you doing this? Why don't you do what I do? And I was like, what do you do? He's like, well, I cover all the sports. I go to the training rooms. I see the same patients, but I don't have to be in the operating room and I don't have to take call. And like a light bulb went off. And I was like, yeah, that's what I want. So it was very late kind of in my training because it was my 4th year. And I came back and that's when I actually had my family medicine rotation in medical school, and I kind of really liked it. So I had to take a year off to reform all my applications and apply for residency, and here I am.
Thank you, everyone, for sharing your stories. Let's move on to the next question. Looking back, what do you think was the biggest challenge you faced specifically as an IMG pursuing sports medicine, and how did you overcome it?
I'll take that first. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like it's hard to think. It's so fresh. I just finished, like literally a week ago. It's so it's kind of like it's hard to pinpoint like one specific thing, but I would say maybe the main one during the application process, I think everybody has a unique experience as a USIMG or non-USIMG, right? Because definitely you have to you check your boxes, but everybody has its own story, right? Its own support system, right? And so I would say that personally, because I wanted to have a more established immigration status, I ended up graduating and becoming a hospitalist, which I did for 4 years. So I was already a practicing physician, right? I would teach resident students and so forth. And then applying for fellowship, I would say, was one of the biggest challenges with my schedule. I would go 7 on, 7 off, or sometimes 8 on, 8 off, and 9 or 9, and so forth. And I would fit rotations that I was lucky to find between those blocks, so that I would spend maybe 21 days continuously. I would travel the last day of my service, and then start rotating for a week or so, and then travel back again and do another week. So that was kind of challenging. But as a IMG, I would say that cultural assimilation was somewhat challenging during the course, right? At the application and during my fellowship. During my fellowship in the South, and being so heavy on football, obviously now I'm passionate about it, and then I'm still learning, but like kind of trying to like pick up on those things that everybody would talk about without looking so lost, right? And it's obviously something that you will continue to improve during time. But specifically in sports, there are very specific like areas depending on the sport that, yeah, definitely I would like to speak about soccer, right? Speak even about the U.S. soccer FIFA World Cup in 1994, which was my first one, but nobody knew about it. So it would be those kind of things and details that at the end of the day, even though, I was doing what I loved, it kind of weighed, and I felt a little bit more tired just to put in that extra work.
Okay, so I'm aware that we need to probably pick up the pace a little bit here because we have lots to get through and we have questions. So I will keep mine very brief. I was an H-1B visa holder, which is different from the J-1, which I think is important to differentiate. That meant that when I was applying for residency and fellowship, basically they had to say, well, they had to post the job posting that I was accepted for and see if somebody else wanted to take the position away from me before I was allowed to have it. So basically, I had to be that much better than everybody else. That made that really stressful for me. And I would also say it did affect my ability to do international work, because I was supposed to, during my intern year, I was supposed to do a trip to India for 2 months, and my H-1B visa switch over from the OPT year from after medical school got delayed, and I couldn't go. So I think that was for me the most stressful part. Obviously, English is my primary language. That was never an issue. I ended up at very nice academic centers, but because I almost had to apply to only like very high level academic centers, because H-1B visas were much harder to come by than a J-1 was. And that's just what made more sense for me. And so it just put a little bit more pressure on me to make sure that I knew exactly which programs accepted an H-1B, and could they actually like have the money to back it, to make sure that I could keep the position.
All right, I'm gonna try to keep it brief as well. Same shoes as Julia, H-1B, so definitely harder to match anywhere. Limited options, at that time, I think they paid about maybe $7,500, for my visa, but still struggle, to get in. Nothing comparable to like what we have in this political climate. But definitely limited options, especially that I had a preference when it comes to the location. My husband had a job in Chicago, and I really wanted to stay in the Midwest, so not too many options. So very grateful that I was able to secure spot again at the academic institution, just like Julia said. And another obstacle I feel like was hard for me to overcome was as a non-US born from the communistic and then post-communistic country. Growing up, I did not grow up with American sports. Okay, so I only know one football, and that's definitely not an American football. Okay. And same thing goes for baseball and all other sports that were played in US and not in Poland. So when I was thrown into dugout, in my first week of fellowship to cover semi-professional baseball, like I had to learn what inning is. Okay, so it took me a couple of weeks to figure out what these sports are about, so I can help my patients to the best of my ability. That was easy to overcome. Just read and watch a bit of sports, right, and then cover that. And then English is my third language, so definitely a struggle there, but more so for residency than fellowship. But I had to relearn medicine in English pretty much. I studied 7 years in Polish and had to just relearn it for USMLEs and everything else. So that's it.
Similar challenges for me as well. I was also on an H-1B visa. Back when I applied for fellowship, there was no ERAS for fellowship. So literally it was paper applications. To call 35 programs and ask if they sponsored visa. Ended up with a list of 5. Ended up with 1 interview, and as I mentioned before, not matching, right? And then finding a position through the scramble. So that was definitely very stressful as for the rest of us, and very challenging. Even a challenge after fellowship, because then after fellowship, looking for a job, it was hard to find a job that was actually in an orthopedic practice or a sports medicine practice that would take on that H-1B visa and then sponsor a green card. So I had to, and I say had to because I really didn't want to. Let's be realistic here, right? I had to take an internal medicine job, essentially Monday through Friday, outpatient primary care medicine or primary care, so that I could get that green card sponsorship, and then after that be able to apply for a job. Thankfully, my fellowship took me on as faculty after that, so that was I'm very thankful to them for that, because my mentor there called me to take on her position, and that really helped catapult my PCSM career out of an orthopedics practice, doing ultrasound, doing procedures, which is what I wanted to do. But yeah, the visa part was definitely a challenge. Doing the fellowship up in the Northeast in upstate New York, when I had barely seen snow before. The first day it snowed, I was late because I didn't know. You had to like scrape the snow off the car, and how complicated the roads would be. To go to see snow in Venezuela, you have to climb up a mountain that is like 4,000, 5,000 feet above sea level, right? So getting used to those things, the language, like, this is a spring sport, this is a summer sport. I'm like, what are you guys talking about? In Venezuela, we have heat and we have water, and we have rain and dry, and that's it, You can play sports all year round. So, learning some of those things, even though I've been bilingual all my life, since I was 5 years old, I was able to speak English. It was still a challenge, to learn the language, to learn the nuances of working and living and practicing medicine in a different country.
For me, very similar, keeping it brief. In my case, for example, something I did not have or need actually was a visa, because my dad was from the USA, so that actually helped in the application process. Nevertheless, there were some programs that said we do not sponsor visas. Nevertheless, someone told me always reach out, because you never know if things have changed and we just haven't updated the website. So that's actually an advice I took, and I was surprised to see someone saying, hey, just apply and we'll see. So that was good advice for sure as well. Particularly, I couples matched for residency and for fellowship as well. I'm an ER, my wife is IM, internal medicine, and then I did for fellowship sports medicine, and she did rheumatology. It wasn't the same, but at the same time, it's something that we just knew it wasn't going to be easy. So just as Julia said, you had to be the best in the only things you can compare yourselves. There was a very honest perm director when I was applying to ER that told me, unfortunately, I'm going to be honest with you, IMG is a red flag. It is, because you come with your scores from a med school. We don't know. We're not sure how they measure the things. We don't understand what those scores mean. So we don't look at that, right? Then there's these things that have to be the scores, research, rotations, letters of recommendation, personal statement. Those are the things where you want to make sure you shine. My strong suit is definitely not research. It's not something I've worked in hard. I try to do as much as possible. Definitely working with Mariale currently in one, but that's not one I knew it wasn't my strength. So try to work, get the best scores I could, do the best impressions and work on rotations. So things like that, knowing that unfortunately, good or bad, it is a disadvantage. So we have to make sure, like, hey, if I want to survive, I know what this means. Let's just look for, ask a little bit more, get involved as much as possible. Being here is already a start.
Dr. Swartzon, you're next.
Yeah, I guess it's my turn now. So I mean, to me, I just like Dr. Rodriguez, we had to paper mail all our applications, and that required certifications coming from Israel, and things had to be stamped and notarized. And then if you need something translated, you need a professional translating service. And so for me, it was really more paperwork, and then really to try and avoid, I don't want to say necessarily the stigma of being an IMG, but they do try to, when they look at the applications, a lot of programs will just put you at the bottom of the pile. So making the networking connections. I went to an AMSSM meeting while I was a resident. I tried to meet more people, trying to do electives everywhere to basically break the ice and not let where I graduated medical school define what I was capable of doing. And so that's my advice. Hang in there with the bureaucracy. I hope with everything being digital that things are better. I'm sure they're not. And ECFMG is the same nonsense it was 25 years ago. But that's my advice to you is to, whether you're in medical school or when you get to residency, try and meet other sports medicine docs, as many as you can, attend meetings, go to these webinars. It's very helpful to help people get to know you. And we feel, as a program director, I feel a lot more comfortable when I meet someone, whether it's at the fellowship fair or, at a regional meeting, you meet someone, even a personal email can go a long way.
Thank you so much, guys. We're going to move on to the next question. We're going to do it rapid fire style. So please try to keep your answers to less than a minute. Was there a person, opportunity, or decision that made the biggest difference in helping you get to where you are today?
I would say, mentorship was the key for my success right now. The support and people that from every background, right? Like not even internal medicine. I would say Dr. Rodriguez. The first time I went to AMSSM, we met on a meeting, and he said, like, I haven't met anybody also from Venezuela at that time, and definitely he helped me a lot. So, and from other mentors that with a different background, pediatrics, even prior AMSSM presidents, and I think everybody just want to help you, just want to let them know.
I agree. Mentorship is super important. I have nobody in my family in medicine, and I had no immigrant mentors, and all of my mentors were men, and I am, as you can tell, a woman, or maybe you can't, but I am a woman. So there's that. So I think, this is gonna be a stupid answer in some ways, but like, I just had like this super hardcore drive of like, I know exactly what I'm meant to do, and I'm gonna be so fucking good, they can't help but take me. Like, that was just my mentality, and I was just unabashed with that. So like, don't have time for imposter syndrome. It's some BS. You have to be so freaking good and really be so sure of yourself, because there will be doubts about your ability. There will be doubts about where you came from. That stuff's BS and it doesn't matter. And so you have to be so driven and you have to be so passionate, and that shows. They see that and they get excited by it.
Yeah, I'm gonna follow on the same line, mentorship and just people you meet along the way, and whether they're your mentors or your friends, but they uplift you. I love our community, you know, we're so supportive, and I feel that people many people help me get to where I am, and that one volunteer opportunity at the Chicago Marathon was the one that actually just broke, the hell, and I left, my idea of being a hem-onc doctor and decided to pursue sports medicine just because of the people and the atmosphere, I was experiencing at that main medical tent. So these things definitely made me succeed in sports medicine.
Yeah, to me, I can summarize it to people in AMSSM. I think AMSSM is the professional home for many of us, and for good reason. And there are many people in that organization that have helped me along this journey. People that came before me and people that came after, who have also, helped me learn a lot and have helped me with that drive, to not only become a sports medicine doctor, but try to be a better one every day. And yeah, I don't think I have to name anyone in particular, but I see some questions related to that in the chat. And I think I really think that if you're serious about primary care sports medicine, you have to be an AMSSM member. You have to be involved in this organization, which, by the way, it's not hard to get involved with, and it's actually quite rewarding and fun to be a part of, right? As you all have said, we're such a great community that it's just that I think that says it all.
For me, keeping it brief, I think I already answered this question before. Again, when opportunities, these people appeared in Peru, I met them, I said yes. Opportunity began just like that. And then that led me into residency. Reading again with some of these questions, the best thing you can do to be good sports medicine is be your good primary care provider. And that's some advice I got in AMSSM as well. Especially in AMSSM, they do these small groups per specialties. For me, it was useful because, again, it's not a big community ER sports med necessarily. So just knowing what they did, it just helped me seeing, oh, understood. So basically it said, just do your residency the best you can. And then after that, I'm sure doors will open as well. So try to achieve just as Julia's mindset, try to be the best I can. I work hard to be chief resident. I work hard. I did it first fellowship, and that's going to help me for skills probably for a second fellowship. So it's just, what else can I do to be the best person I can, the best physician for my patients and here. But again, networking, opportunities in life that present, saying yes, and then going where opportunities can be as well.
I think everything I would have said has already been said, so I will defer my time for the next question.
Okay, in the interest of time, I'm gonna move on to the next question we have planned, and then we'll open the session to the questions that have been dropped in the chat that haven't been answered yet. So my last question for you is, looking at your career today, what's something you're most proud of, or something you didn't think would be possible when you first came to the United States, or when you returned to the United States after training abroad?
I think proud of the community I have built and the new skills I have gained as an internist. My program director didn't even know that internal medicine residents could apply to this specialty, so I kind of like proved them wrong, or if he didn't think. But yeah, but I'm proud of, even as I said, like the journey, every journey, everybody's journey is very different, and it's going to be very challenging. And if I did it, you can also do it.
For me, I think the thing that was like maybe something I'm most proud of. So I was almost deported during the pandemic. So I was not married yet, and I was applying with a EB1. So imagine being directly out of fellowship and then trying to apply for a physician with extraordinary abilities 1 year out of fellowship. and then the pandemic happened, and I was in New York City, and so I'm volunteering in the ICU, and the USCIS closed down, and my green card just went, and they denied it, and so all of a sudden I had no job, and I couldn't leave the country because if I did, I gave up the right to appeal. And so that was like I swear a lot, sorry guys, oh shit moment for me, and really made me have to like decide, like, is this worth pursuing, because I'm about to go so deep into like fighting America on this. And Trump was this was Trump's first term during this time, so it was fun. It really just made me proud of myself, because I had a lot of like the athletes I've taken care of in the past, a lot of my colleagues and like mentors reach out to the USCIS saying like, she's a fucking badass, she knows what she's doing, like this woman is like the next best thing in, you know, musculoskeletal ultrasound or sports medicine. And so a lot of my mentors came to bat for me, and that was just really lovely for me to experience. I ended up on CNN. So unlike Eliza and having this cute reason why I went viral for a very sad reason. And people kept telling me to like go back to Mexico, which was a weird feeling, because wrong direction. But either way, the point is that if you believe in yourself enough, you will get there, even if there are bumps along the road. Like, holy shit, I have had those bumps, and I am where I am because I did not give up. So I think that is like the big takeaway for me.
Yeah, I think we all had some bumps, you know, maybe not as bumpy as Julia on the way, you know, to where we are. But I think I'm most proud of pretty much just overcoming many obstacles from the get-go, from the beginning of, you know, when I decided to move abroad, which was like 20 years ago. So I'm just proud that I'm still able to like stick to my values and practice medicine somewhat the way I wanted to practice. We all know that all healthcare systems are broken, you know, so you never end up practicing the way you wanted, most likely, 100%. But I'm just, you know, really proud of where I am right now, despite everything that happened, despite being, you know, told multiple times as a non-US born IMG through internal medicine, I have like a 0.01% chance of matching into the fellowship, and I still did it, you know, so really proud of that.
Yeah, to me, I mean, if someone had told a 13 or 14-year-old me that you know, I was going to work with an NHL team, an MLS team, and work in a FIFA World Cup, I would have been like, yeah, right. You know, as I developed my interest in sports medicine, I really loved all of it. You know, Pee-wee football, weekend lacrosse tournaments during fellowship, second division baseball, second division hockey, ice hockey, and I love being around all of it. If I don't think it's something that I didn't see possible, but maybe something that I didn't expect was to really end up, you know, working top tier sports medicine. And to me, the most beautiful part of my journey has been that it wasn't really like that I was always top of my class or an explosion of skill and medical knowledge that just developed or that I always had with me. But it's the fact that I've been actually like slowly chipping away at it, you know, working on it slowly, slowly developing my skills, slowly developing my knowledge, and it's led me to where I am. So to me, the message to our you know webinar attendees is, you know, even if you don't see the goal line, you know, you can get there by taking the right steps and moving in the right direction slowly.
I agree absolutely with everything everyone said. And again, for me, just as I said before, this was not something I even thought I could do before. So I remember we have a small soccer tournament called TST, the soccer tournament. Some players came in. When I was there was Sergio Agüero, Kuma Agüero, next to me, and I saw that. Again, it's just a small tournament, but just that moment of saying, oh my gosh, I am here. I remember I had a couple of tears in my eyes saying, I was already a fanboy, a fangirl. I was just, oh my gosh, this is just an amazing sensation. For me, the fact in Peru, practicing medicine outside of a hospital just didn't exist because it's not a concept necessarily. Now doing it in sidelines, different things I just did not think. So that's things I really appreciate. And the thing I'm most proud of is just right now focusing on how can I take stuff back to where I'm from and starting with just little things and hopefully growing more with that. But that's something it's definitely one of my goals in life.
I would say probably one of my biggest challenges is intern year, right? You train in this foreign healthcare system. I would say foreign. It wasn't foreign at the time. This was foreign here. And then you go to this fee-for-service, complicated healthcare system. And so you probably won't have to deal with that in fellowship as much. But part of my advice to you, I never imagined I would live in Kansas and Missouri. I never imagined I would live in New Mexico. That's just where the process took me. I loved my journey. Please don't close opportunities because you've never been to a place, don't want to live there. If you want this, you're gonna have to go wherever they could take you, and you can't close those doors and windows just yet. So my advice is to go, and then a lot of my career has ended up being at the right place at the right time. And if you don't keep going, you don't know when that opportunity is going to come where you can jump. So I would say always say yes when you're offered an opportunity. And if you're given a job, even if it's not your dream job, dream destination, just go for it. You might be pleasantly surprised.
Okay, I'm gonna start now. Thank you so much, everyone, for answering the questions. I'm gonna start with some of the questions in the chat, and then like maybe one or two of you can focus on each question. First one is any last minute tips to enhance the application or mistakes to avoid as IMG as people apply to fellowship?
No blank spaces in that application. I'll say that real quick. Make sure that you have something to fill every little box. If the application has a space, to have research, community involvement, sports coverage, make sure that you have something to say in each segment. I think that was advice given to me, and I found it to be very helpful.
Yeah, I was about to follow on the same line. After reviewing at this point, I think like hundreds or thousands of applicants, over the last 9 years, I did notice that US born IMGs or US grads would list a ton of experiences, whether this experience took 1 hour, but it was meaningful enough. Those that did not graduate from medical schools in US usually have a tendency to undervalue all different kind of experiences. So I would just say, just list everything you did, okay? Don't undervalue yourself because you never know what's going to catch our attention and what we're going to find interesting. And we're going to find this to be a good fit for our fellowship.
My big thing is letters of recommendation matter a lot. If you are going to ask somebody for a LOR, make sure you say, can you write me a strong one? If it's not going to be a strong one, don't bother with them. I would rather have 2 or 3 super strong letters than you have 5 kind of meh ones, because to us that's a big deal, especially if it's somebody that I know and I trust. Like all of the program directors and all of the us in our mid-career, us 9 years out kind of folk, we all talk to each other, right? So if somebody's letter is like, I'm going to be like, yo, what's the problem with so-and-so? Like, that's how we talk. So get strong letters. If you don't think they're going to give you a strong letter, do not bother.
Next question. Are USMLE STEP scores a deal breaker in sports medicine fellowship applications?
I think I already answered that in the chat, at least not in my institution. So we would consider applicants even with failed steps, because to us what matters is who you represent, who you are, and do you fit, are you going to be a good fit for our fellowship? I think scores matter definitely more when you try to get into the residency. But once you matched already, whether you IMG or not, I mean, you already secured a spot. Like you worth a spot in the residency, you worth a spot in a fellowship. That's how we look at it, at least at my institution.
Yeah, same here. When we look at USMLE scores or complex scores, we want to see that you've taken and passed it. Obviously, multiple failures will be a little bit of a yellow red flag, but the score itself is a very small part. If it's extraordinary high, it may get you a stronger look, but low, we don't really filter based on any score.
I think at the highly academic programs, scores matter a little bit more. I will say if you have an average score, but you have an amazing application, we will definitely look at you and be excited by you. If you have a like near fail or a fail and have an average application, there's no chance. There's just no chance. So I think like really like reaching out to the programs like and asking like the current fellows, you know, kind of what's the landscape look like with the applications, because they do have an idea that can sometimes be helpful, but just like really try to hedge your bets, especially if you can only apply to a certain number of programs. Like think smart about like where do I want to end up and what are my chances of getting in there, and that's maybe a smarter way as opposed to just applying super broadly and then not being sure what you're going to end up.
Thank you. Then we have a question about hybrid practices. I think Dr. Palasz, you may be the most appropriate one to answer this question. They're wondering what a hybrid looks like practice if they're doing like primary care and sports medicine outpatient care.
Sorry, I misheard. You said private practice or
No,
the hybrid?
hybrid primary care slash like sports medicine, like combining both. Like, what does that look like? And do you recommend purely sports medicine, or what are the pros and cons?
As everything in U.S. medicine so far, most of it's not been my decision. Most of it, it's like, where did I match to residency? Where did I match into fellowship? What job did I get because my wife was finishing her fellowship? And then we liked it and we were happy enough. Again, coming from a different country where the situation is just different, we tend to be a little bit more grateful with what we get and saying, oh my gosh, this ain't that bad. People are complaining a lot, but it isn't that bad. Then you become a little more spoiled and say, okay, things can be better. Nevertheless, the job a little bit picked me and I picked the job. So right now I'm just 3 years out of fellowship. So I started with emergency medicine because I needed to stay here because my wife was doing her fellowship. Duke Sports Medicine did not have a position available. Nevertheless, they said, we would love to keep you if something opens up. So I got a job with ER and started working ER. Luckily, I do like both a lot. So I started working 75% sports ER, leaving 25 just open to see if something comes in, I'll fill in that. And then after a year, actually, the position opened where I was just helping them with education, but now then got a formal spot as part of the faculty. So then doing both of them. Right now, how do I see myself doing this long term or not? That's going to depend in the next few years. ER definitely is a tool. I'm in Duke Regional, so it's community academic. We do see most of our patients, so it's most about productivity, which definitely with different schedules, nights, day, it does affect and tires you a little bit. But with sports medicine there as well, there's again that chance where you can actually go one. The good thing I want to do is a lot of education again. So Duke had both, can give you that in one simple enterprise. I know a lot of people do. If the job allows you to. Duke didn't allow me to work if I did ER at a different place, work sports medicine, Duke, for example. So it's much of what's available actually for me, what is allowed. But I know people do a little bit of private practice sports med, then ER2, or then they decided to do the last fellow did 100% sports med, thinking he was going to do ER. He liked 100% sports med and stayed that way too. So at the end, it's not one thing I would decide myself, even during fellowship, but just during fellowship, throughout it, think what you like, learn more about it, throw yourself into every experience doing fellowship, see how it goes, and then whatever's available is not going to be necessarily your final job either. So go from there.
You can always change your mind, guys. Like you can always change your mind. Like you might do half ER, half sports med, or half primary care and half sports medicine, and then you might realize, wow, I hate managing diabetes, I'm going to do all sports. You can change your mind. It's just what gets you in the door, right? That's what the point of this is. Most of us don't stay in the same job, you know, after the first 3-4 years or something. I switched jobs 4 years in. Like it's okay, you're allowed to change your mind.
Okay, one last final lightning round. In one sentence, what's one thing you want every IMG interested in sports medicine present tonight to remember?
Well, I think I learned this from Dr. Rodriguez. Regardless of the obstacles, it doesn't matter if your background, as long as you do your best, how long it takes, how many times you have to apply, right? And whether you come from the least favorite specialty to end up being a sports medicine physician and have to teach yourself musculoskeletal because you had nothing of that during your residency, you can still do it. We are a proof of that. And you have to believe in yourself. And as an AMG, you are, believe it or not, a very strong applicant. Your paper might not look like the others, but what you bring with you and all your experiences make you a very strong, not only applicant, but person, regardless of the setting.
Yeah, passion shows through, right? And I think in sports medicine, we have to be really good at being able to communicate with patients, right? We're not behind a screen. I'm not just looking at skin checks. Like, I have to actually interact with these people. So being able to be a good communicator, being super passionate about what you're doing, that shows through to us. And then I think finding the path that makes the most sense for you, like, you know, like everyone said, like, it doesn't have to be super linear. You don't have to stay down the same, you know, path at all. But do not like let yourself down and like cut yourself short. Like, really have faith in yourself, because like, you are amazing. I'm sure you are. You wouldn't be here if you weren't. You wouldn't be doing this if you weren't driven. So like, just keep pushing yourself. It's okay if some doors close in or some windows close because the door opens, whatever that saying is, like, it's cool. Just go with it. And find champions, not just mentors, champions, people that talk about you when you're not in the room, in a good way, not in a bad way, in a good way. You want those people to champion you. Those are the people that are going to help push you into the next, you know, upper echelon.
Yeah, I think having this very non-traditional path to sports medicine fellowship and to medicine in US in general, I think it's your big strength. You know, it's not a disadvantage. It just gives you this very diverse perspective to everything you're gonna do with your patients and with your career. So definitely lean into it. And I'm just gonna follow what Julia said. You know, you gotta show your passion, and that's gonna show through how you interact during the interview and what your CV shows as well. So even for those IM trained physicians, you know, we Wikien said, we had to teach ourselves, you know, all the MSK medicine. It's still doable. Like, you can do it. Don't be shy, because we sometimes, you know, as IMDs have a tendency to undervalue many of things we do, and we maybe are not the best communicators. And I'm looking here at all the Slavic people like myself. You know, I'm not a master of small talks. I find it really difficult and challenging to network, but it's doable. Like, it's teachable. I mean, we smart people, we can do it. I think we just the best example of the fact that we can succeed. You know, even though we did not train in the US.
Yeah, definitely believe in the value of those experiences. I'm gonna call it our baggage. You know, that baggage that we bring with us, the value of the diversity of our experiences in med school, how different they were from all the rest, even within this group, right? And that those experiences make you who you are in the end. And I think that is a very strong value, and make a lot of people in this panel and in this group some of the best sports medicine doctors that I know. So believe in that because it does make you different in a very good way. Yes, you have to put in the work. Yes, there will be challenges, but you know that's anything worth doing it will be challenging, right? And I'll finish with something that I tell all my kids, you know, that goes along the same lines. I tell my kids, you know, it's funny, when I was young, everyone kept telling me, you know, English is going to open so many doors for you. And yes, it did. But as it turns out, you know, at this stage of my career, it's actually Spanish opening all these doors and letting me work in this environment in the way that I work, right? And that I think that's so powerful, right? And a testament to everything that we're talking about here.
Can't add much more to that. Just, again, every opportunity you see there, take it. Webinars like this, go to. AMSSM, go to. These small groups, attend. Meet people. Say hi. Venture. If you're scared, that's going to be part of it. But everything is scary at the time. Everything that's good. So just take adventure. Say yes. Besides everything everyone has said already. I agree.
I mean, the thing I would add, we talked about challenges, but I'd like to point out failures, right? I've had a lot of failures in my career, going from college to medical school to residency, and each time it seemed like the end of the world, and I was never going to go to where I wanted to go. And looking back on it, had I not had those failures, I would not be in the exact spot that I'm in, which is where I want to be. So I wouldn't harp too much on your failures. Obviously, you need to learn and move forward, but don't get yourself down too much. There's so many opportunities. We all have the failures, and I'm sure everyone on this panel can talk about them, but believe me, we've had them and you'll be okay. Just keep going.
Thank you so much to everyone. This has been a very inspiring evening. And I think I want to chip in like my piece of advice, which I think summarizes everything. And I remember I just matched to fellowship. So I remember, well, yeah, I'm about to start. But I remember hearing this from actually Dr. Swartzon's mentee, who's my mentor, Dr. Maria Kiriako. She always told me to believe in myself. And a year ago, I wouldn't have thought I would be either about to start fellowship or be moderating a panel session here at AMSSM. So just keep believing in yourselves. Just to close the evening, I'd like to thank every speaker for sharing their unique career paths, challenges they've overcome, and lessons they've learned, and for giving practical advice about pursuing a career in sports medicine. This webinar has been recorded and it will be uploaded to AMSSM YouTube channel, so please make sure to join the channel. It has been my pleasure serving as the moderator tonight, and I'd also like to thank the AMSSM members attending tonight's webinar. And this concludes tonight's session. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mariam, for putting this together. I see a lot of the attendees saying that this has been inspiring, and I feel equally inspired, by hearing about everyone's journey and seeing this new generation of people and being able to motivate them and guide them a little bit. This is great. Thank you so much for doing it.